Hey friends, David Nuno here. Nothing polarizing to talk about on TexAgs Rewind with my friends from the Fan Show, Hunter and Matt. Hey friends.
Hello.
Hello. Bobby Petrino Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
VP Day.
If you've heard of him.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about him, actually. I was doing national radio when he had this little Arkansas situation. I'm going to tell you this. Skeptical, also intrigued, and let's see how it plays out come October.
Hopeful. I'm very hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, we went over it. Not a fan, but I'm rooting for the Aggies, so that's the bottom line for me.
Yeah. Make it work. You know, this is where we are, and this guy is proven to be a pretty darn good offensive play caller.
Take all that talent, move the ball, score some points is all we need from you.
So we had that on the show. The Fan Show guys talked about that. Stephen McGee came on, talked about it. OB came on, talked about it. We talked a lot about it. We had Billy on the show. Again, he reacted to it with a night of sleep. And, of course, we talked a little Aggie basketball. They did beat Florida. All that and more here on TexAgs Rewind.
Second half, they had to sweat it out and make some big plays, and they did. And they get this. And fortunately, it didn't come down to a one-point game and A&M losing because they forgot their jerseys.
Yeah.
Which
I don't know how that happens, but I also have empathy because probably whoever has to handle that. I'm just saying, like, I liked Buzz's answer yesterday. He put it on himself.
Yeah, it's not on him. Somebody has a job, and probably your first job is to make sure the jerseys that you're going to wear, you have them, and That was an embarrassment for Texas A&M to be on TV. I saw Tom Hart making fun of him, and how do you not show up without your jerseys?
Well, two scenarios to paint, and I do want to get into Bobby Petrino. Two scenarios to paint for you. First off, could you imagine if that happened to the Dallas Cowboys? They're about to play.
No, because they're going to have competent people in charge of that.
And second thing, when I took my very first real sports job, I was the director of PR for a soccer team in San Diego, and they allowed me to hire my best friend, Carlos Perez, to be the equipment manager because he wanted to get into sports as well. Carlos had never done laundry, had never done anything before, and we hired him. And the first time he did laundry, I taught him how to do it, and I wasn't very good at it either. I was, 23, 24 years old. And then the second time he did it, he washed the white jerseys with, like, something red, and they were ruined. So I'm wondering if there's Carlos Perez somewhere hiding there in Aggie Athletics.
Well,
hey, I feel bad for look, it happened.
Imagine if it had come down to a one-point game and you lost. Stephen, I have to ask you, you're as a quarterback or just as a player, let's say you're the quarterback of Ohio State. And by the way, C.J. Stroud played his butt off.
Yeah.
And you get your team in position to win the game on a long but makeable field goal, and your kicker absolutely shanks it. Now, you're going to support him publicly, but what are you thinking, or what are you saying privately, when the cameras are off?
Not anything to that guy, but I think inwardly every quarterback has had a moment in his career where he really cussed the kicker. I had that against the Arizona Cardinals on a Christmas Day game. We missed an extra point. That was when the extra points were even closer. But Georgia also missed a couple field goals too, so they could have been on the other side of the coin where their kicker was in the dump. So, quarterbacks don't like kickers. We don't like special teams in general.
Are you going to call him an idiot kicker like Peyton Manning?
Which kicker was that though that he said that to? Vanderjack?
Vanderjack.
Yeah.
He said he got liquored up. An idiot kicker. I'm not saying the poor Noah. I can't think of his last name. Noah, the kid from Ohio State. I'm not saying he's an idiot, and it is tough situation for a kicker. But man, your quarterback, you played great. You got your team down, to win the game. And I just wonder what the players really say when the cameras are off.
I don't think anybody's going to say anything directly to the kid, but I think inwardly they're probably thinking, "Dadgummit, I hate that we lose the kicker." And kickers get athletes like when we're out there practicing, kickers are always over on the side of the field,
kicking,
doing whatever. Yeah, like stretching. It's like they're a part of the team, but are they really part of the team? You know what I'm saying?
We were actually sitting with one of our good buddies that we met through this line of work, who still lives here and still in coaching, old Bradley Dale, Peevito. Right. We were sitting there with Peeve and luckily waiting on the check, about to leave, so I got to just skirt it, like, oh, sorry, I got to take this. And it was a call, and went and posted that. My Twitter fingers weren't quick enough. My man Chris Lowe, who I think's a badass, got there about, I don't know what it was, 60 seconds before. That's always the worst feeling. You tweet it, you were delivered the news from, your source was perfect and like, hey, it's go time, and you go, and then you go on TexAgs and you see 2 threads on it and you go, damn, they got to my tweet quick. And it took me about a minute to type in what I typed to post. Boom.
Already out.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's good though. I knew it was going to be crazy from that moment on, and it was, but
has the reaction been what you expected?
Yeah. I mean, look, there are a lot of people that are excited about it. I was just on with Kubelik and McElroy this morning, and I got just from the Twitter vibe, like maybe a more skeptical vibe on that front, but not a bad one, like kind of a, and then I was on with T-Bob and Hester, which I told the story about sitting there with Bradley Davis, a former LSU coach, and he actually recruited T-Bob.
Oh, yeah?
He's like, no way, so, but anyway, they were a lot more bullish on it and said, look, when you make those hires, it's about getting better. And they're like, I don't think there's any doubt that Texas A&M got better yesterday. So you're going to be, and I get, like they were saying, the jokes there are obvious, and I get them, and I'm like, look, we have sense of humor. Like, that stuff is going to be funny. Like, it's all well and good to, like, the jokes write themselves in terms of the low-hanging fruit for people wanting to go, oh, how's this going to end up? You got Jimbo and Petrino, and man, I still think that if you look from a football standpoint, this thing has a chance. And I called it high risk, high reward, because you do have, 2 really proven guys in the room now. I think the other way, the more I think about it, David, like, if he'd have gotten, I heard Olin this morning saying he thinks Petrino's a one and done either way. I don't think either way. I think there's a plenty of middle ground that Petrino comes back.
Well, you're right, but that's Buzz's game. I think we've always talked about he's a defensive-minded coach, and that's where the points are going to come from. And so, to me, I felt good because it's getting back to the game that we thought the team that we thought he was going to have, where not give it up 100 points and those sorts of things. And and I'm going to go ahead and tell a quick story. So everybody's about the jerseys and stuff. So back when I was a 7th, 8th grader, I went to a school that was kindergarten through senior, and I was a manager for the football team. And so we show up at an away game. Somebody might have forgotten the footballs back at home. So
you forgot the footballs.
I'll take full credit for.
How old were you at the time?
I was 7th, 8th grade.
Okay.
So coaches weren't real happy with me. Thankfully, it wasn't a very good team we were playing. We borrowed balls from them and kicked and threw and still beat them big. But that was still, I never did that again. I can promise you that.
I bet you didn't. Let's talk a couple of the guys that starred yesterday.
Yeah.
Julius Marble. It's interesting when he is on. He is really on. There's games that he kind of disappears, and I think the same can be said about Henry Coleman. Yesterday, that dude, you gave him the ball on the block, he was going to make something happen.
Well, and again, I'm sure a lot of it was probably he felt personally challenged going up against Castleton. That's all you heard going into the game. And so, let's remember, he came from Michigan State. Big Ten basketball is nothing to sneeze at. That's big-time basketball. So I'm sure he recognized that. And if we're talking about maybe he disappeared, they know. But is it him, or is it sometime maybe his teammates aren't getting him the ball because they're so much on the perimeter oriented? And so you don't know how much of that was that, or maybe Buzz saying, hey, we got to pound it inside, see if we can get Castleton in foul trouble or not. But no matter what, he responded, and that's what it'd be a different team if he could play like that the rest of the season.
It is conference play when people annoy you on the other side. So, like, Castleton was annoying me during the game. My kids were watching the game with me. Like, I don't like that guy, Dad. He's a solid player. What's his name? Mike White. Yeah. He annoys me too. But it's because it's conference play. Everything has ratcheted up. Every possession matters that much more.
Well, it's funny. So they had the A&M Consolidated Football Banquet last night. So
excuse me, Todd Golden. Sorry.
Yeah. So I was going to say Mike White, but Ross Bjork and I were there, and we were leaving. I said, hey, what's the men's score? And he goes, oh, we were up at half, and he looks, and we're up. He gave me the update, and so I'm listening to Andrew Monaco and John Thornton on the way home, and Andrew is, to me, is always so bubbly, but last night he was probably the most homer of an announcer that I'd ever hear him be. I mean, he's always for us, but I mean, he was calling Castleton nothing but a spoiled baby. He's acting like a spoiled baby all night, and it was funny. And you could hear in John Thornton's voice, because John's always so pretty laid back on when he does it, but you could hear some angst in his voice when that game was going down the stretch. Like he knew how important that game was to the Aggies last night. It was fun listening to them.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Castleton's a solid player, though. No doubt about that. Hunter, it's been a minute. You know what to tell the people?
Yes, and this is what, if you're busy, you can't watch the whole show back. Click on this, subscribe to it, like it, and if you really like it, you can comment.
In 10 minutes a day, you can keep up with all your Aggie sports.
I'll make this comment. Most people on social media and message boards have negative comments. Typically, not always, but typically the comments on the Rewind are positive.
Very positive.
There was one lady, Penny, who says she thinks Billy and myself are terrible. But other than that, it's been very, and I remember names, I wrote notes. Other than that, yeah, Penny, I know who you are. Actually, I don't know, but I'm Googling. Other than that, it's always very positive. So,
good. Stay positive, folks.
Yeah, gig 'em. We'll see you guys next time.